The jungle of Zariah 7 was alive with strange sounds. Thick vines twisted around towering trees, and luminous flowers glowed faintly under the canopy. Mist clung to the ground, making every step uncertain. The air was heavy, humid, and filled with the scent of wet soil. Nara moved carefully through the undergrowth, her senses sharp. She had hunted many creatures across the galaxy, but the predators of Zariah 7 were cunning and deadly. Every step she took was measured, every movement precise. Her skin, a deep shade of green with faint markings that shimmered under the light, blended almost perfectly with the forest around her. Her eyes, large and reflective, scanned the shadows. Nara was not just a huntress, she was one of the most skilled of her kind. Her body was lean and muscular, trained for speed and endurance. Every motion she made was deliberate, graceful, and deadly. She had learned to move without making a sound, to feel the pulse of life in the forest. The sound of rustling leaves reached her first. A predator was nearby, and it was large, far larger than any she had faced before. Nara crouched low, her tail brushing the soft moss beneath her. Her claws dug into the earth as she prepared to strike. The predator moved with surprising speed, its body covered in thick, spiky armor. Its eyes, black and shiny, locked onto her as it sensed her presence. Nara felt a rush of adrenaline. The hunt began. She leaped over a fallen log and rolled behind a massive fern. The predator snarled and lunged, its jaws snapping shut just where she had stood moments ago. Nara's heart pounded, but her movements were calm and precise. She circled around the creature, searching for an opening. Every muscle in her body was tense, ready to strike. Suddenly, the predator lunged again, faster than she expected. Its teeth sank into her arm. Nara hissed in pain as venom entered her bloodstream. Immediately, a burning sensation spread through her veins and her vision blurred. She tried to pull free, but the poison weakened her muscles. Her legs wobbled and she stumbled to the ground. The jungle seemed to spin around her and she felt a strange dizziness. Nara tried to call out, but her voice was weak, barely a whisper. She had faced poisons before, but this one was different. It was fast, aggressive, and designed to kill quickly. Panic rose within her, though she fought it down. She could not afford to show fear. Survival depended on her ability to stay calm. She crawled toward a tree, hoping to climb it and escape the predator. But the poison made her movements slow and clumsy. Her claws could not grip the bark as firmly as they should. She fell back to the ground with a thud, her strength draining rapidly. The predator circled her, waiting for the final moment to strike again. Nara knew she had little time left. In the distance, a voice called out. It was soft, almost drowned by the sounds of the jungle, but it reached her ears. Nara's eyes narrowed. Another being was nearby. She tried to move toward the voice, but her limbs refused to obey. She felt helpless, a rare sensation for a huntress who had always been in control. The figure appeared between the trees. It was human, small compared to her, but moving with surprising confidence. The human carried no weapons, only a small pack and determination in his eyes. Nara's instinct screamed to warn him to stay away, but the poison clouded her thoughts. She could not move fast enough to attack or escape. The human knelt beside her, examining the bite on her arm. "Hold still," he said calmly. His voice was steady and there was no fear. Nara tried to speak, but her mouth barely moved. The human's hands were careful as he checked the wound. He seemed to understand what had happened, even though humans rarely faced alien poisons. "You're poisoned," he said simply. "I can help you, but you have to trust me." Nara's eyes widened. Trust was not something she offered easily, especially to humans. But she had no choice. The poison was spreading fast and she could feel her strength leaving her body. The human acted quickly. He examined the bite and then placed his mouth over the wound. Nara gasped, shocked by his boldness. She had never seen anyone attempt such a thing. The human began to draw out the venom. It was slow and careful work. Nara felt a strange sensation as the poison left her body. Her heart raced and her breathing grew steadier. Minutes passed, but they felt like hours. Nara could only watch, stunned, as the human continued. His determination was clear, and he did not flinch. Finally, he pulled back and wiped his mouth. "You'll live," he said simply. Nara's mind raced. She wanted to speak, to express her shock and disbelief, but her throat felt heavy. She had been rescued by a human, a species she had always considered weak and fragile. And yet here he was, saving her life with courage and skill she had rarely seen. The jungle around them was quiet now. The predator had retreated, perhaps sensing that Nara was no longer an easy target. Nara sat up slowly, testing her limbs. The poison was gone, but her body was still weak. She looked at the human, who smiled gently. "Why did you do that?" she asked, her voice hoarse. "You could have been hurt," the human shrugged. "I had to. You were dying. I could not let that happen." Nara stared at him, trying to understand. Humans were known for their resilience, but this was beyond anything she had expected. Their bravery, their willingness to risk themselves, was something her species rarely saw. She felt a strange respect growing inside her, mixed with disbelief and awe. "You are different," she said finally. "Most would not do what you did. Most would run, hide, or leave me to die." The human shook his head. "Not me. Not when someone needs help. We humans are stubborn that way. We fight, we survive, and we help when we can." Nara nodded slowly, still processing everything. She had been taught to rely on herself, to trust no one. But this human had changed her view even in a few minutes. She realized that humans might be small, but they had a kind of strength that was hard to measure. It was courage, determination, and something deeper than physical power. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the jungle floor. Nara rose to her feet, still weak but steady. The human helped her walk to a safer area, away from predators. As they moved, Nara's mind was filled with questions. Who was this human? Why was he here? How could someone so fragile save a huntress like her? The human did not speak much, but his presence was comforting. Nara noticed how calm he remained, how steady his steps were. It was a different kind of strength, one that did not rely on speed or claws or venom. It was patience, courage, and clarity in the face of danger. As they reached a small clearing, Nara stopped and looked at the human. "I owe you my life," she said quietly. "I do not forget such things." The human smiled. "You don't owe me anything. I just did what needed to be done. But I am glad you are alive." Nara studied him for a moment. She had faced countless dangers, fought many battles, but this moment was different. She had been saved not by skill or weapon, but by a human's bravery. Her pride as a huntress was still there, but it was mixed with newfound respect. The jungle grew darker, and the sounds of nocturnal creatures filled the air. Nara knew the hunt was not over, and danger would always be near. But for now she was alive, and that was enough. She had seen the strength of humans, and it had stunned her. Together they moved deeper into the jungle, ready to face whatever came next. Nara's mind was alive with thoughts, questions, and a strange sense of wonder. She had survived the poison, and she had survived because of a human. It was a beginning, not just of recovery, but of something much larger, something that could change the way she saw the universe. The stars began to shine through the thick canopy above, twinkling like tiny beacons in the night. Nara took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill her lungs. She looked at the human beside her, a small figure against the vast jungle, and realized that even the smallest beings could make the biggest difference. The huntress had survived, but more importantly, she had discovered something new. Humans were not weak. Humans were strong in ways she had never imagined, and Nara knew that the universe was about to become far more interesting than she had ever thought. The jungle of Zoria 7 was darker now. Shadows stretched long and twisted among the trees. Nara moved cautiously, her muscles still recovering from the venom's effects. Every step was careful, but her mind was sharp. She knew that the forest held dangers beyond the predator that had bitten her. Even though she was alive, her senses told her to stay alert. The human Kai walked beside her. His movements were slower than hers, but steady. He seemed calm, as if the jungle itself did not frighten him. Nara had never seen a human move like that. Most of her species thought humans were weak, fragile, and easily scared. Kai proved them all wrong. His courage was quiet but strong, and Nara could not ignore it. "You are quiet," she said, her voice still a little hoarse. "Humans usually speak when they are nervous." Kai smiled slightly. "I listen more than I speak. It helps me survive. Talking too much can be dangerous in a place like this." Nara nodded. She understood that. Silence was part of the hunt, part of staying alive. She realized that humans, even though smaller and weaker, could survive in ways her species often underestimated. The two of them moved carefully through the thick undergrowth. Vines hung from trees like ropes, and the ground was soft with moss and fallen leaves. Strange sounds echoed from the shadows. Some were the calls of nocturnal animals, while others were unknown, alien noises that made Nara's instincts tense. Every sense she had trained for years was alert. Kai seemed to notice everything too. He stopped occasionally to examine tracks on the ground, to check for signs of predators. Nara watched him, impressed. He may not have been trained like her, but his awareness was sharp. Humans were adaptable. That was clear now. As they moved, Nara's thoughts returned to the predator that had bitten her. She had faced creatures like it before, but the venom had almost killed her. She was lucky. Most of her kind would have died without help. She looked at Kai, her mind filled with questions she had never asked before. Why did he help her? Why risk his own life for a stranger? You do not understand humans, Kai said suddenly, as if reading her thoughts. We have a way of surviving that comes from helping each other. Even if it seems dangerous, sometimes the right choice is to act. I could not leave you to die. Nara considered his words. Her kind believed in strength, in skill, and survival through power alone. But Kai's words made sense in a way that was new to her. Humans were not just physically strong. They were strong in spirit. They had courage that she could not measure in claws or speed. A rustling sound came from the bushes ahead. Both Nara and Kai froze. The jungle seemed to hold its breath. Nara's eyes narrowed, scanning the shadows. She saw a pair of glowing eyes reflecting faint light. Another predator, smaller than the one that had bitten her, emerged. Its body was sleek and fast. Its claws dug into the ground as it prepared to attack. Nara stepped forward instinctively, ready to strike. Her muscles had recovered enough to move, and she could feel the strength returning to her limbs. But Kai did not step back. He stood firm, watching the predator. You first, Nara said, unsure if she meant it as a command or a warning. Kai shook his head. We face it together. The predator lunged at them. Nara moved with lightning speed, dodging its first attack. She swung her claws, aiming to disable it without killing. Humans were not built for fighting like this, but Kai had learned quickly. He grabbed a heavy branch from the ground and blocked the predator's strike. The creature hissed, surprised by the human's defense. Nara glanced at him, stunned. He was brave, yes, but also smart. He did not attack recklessly. He used his surroundings, his mind, and his courage. She realized that humans were unpredictable. That unpredictability made them dangerous in a way few alien species understood. Together they fought. Nara moved with precision, striking only when necessary. Kai used his environment, pushing the predator into Nara's path. The predator lunged again, but Nara was ready. She struck it firmly on the side, and the creature tumbled into the bushes, dazed. It hissed and ran away, disappearing into the shadows. Nara looked at Kai. You are remarkable, she said, breathing heavily. I underestimated your kind. Kai smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. Humans surprise you, don't we? Nara nodded slowly. She realized that she had learned an important lesson. Strength was not only about muscles or weapons. Strength could come from courage, intelligence, and the willingness to face danger without fear. Kai had all of these qualities, and he had saved her life once already. They continued walking deeper into the jungle. Nara's body was stronger now and her mind clearer. But she could feel the energy of the forest, the movement of creatures that watched from the shadows. She knew that danger was never far away. As they walked, Nara noticed strange markings on the trees, symbols carved deep into the bark, glowing faintly in the dim light. She recognized them as warnings, signs that other hunters, other creatures had passed this way. The jungle was full of secrets, full of history, and full of danger. Kai noticed the markings too. Do you know what these mean? He asked. Nara studied them carefully. They are warnings. Other huntresses or hunters have been here. They mark the paths where danger is near. We should be careful, Kai nodded. Then we will follow carefully, together. The two moved cautiously, their senses alert. Hours passed as they navigated the thick jungle. Strange insects crawled on leaves. Luminous plants glowed softly, and distant cries echoed from creatures unseen. Nara could feel the life of the forest, and Kai seemed to sense it too. Suddenly, the ground shook slightly. Nara stopped instantly, her body tense. Something large is coming, she whispered. Kai's eyes widened. How large? Nara did not answer. Her instincts were too strong for words. A massive creature emerged from the trees. Its body was armored, and its head was covered in spikes. It moved slowly but with purpose. This was no ordinary predator. It was a guardian of the forest, a creature that defended its territory fiercely. Nara stepped in front of Kai, ready to fight. But the human did not back away. Instead, he stood tall, observing the creature. Nara realized that he trusted her, and that he believed they could face this together. That trust was rare. She had rarely worked with anyone in her life, let alone a human. The creature roared, a deep, resonant sound that shook the leaves above. Nara lunged, striking its side with precision. The creature turned, swinging its massive head, but Kai reacted quickly. He grabbed a thick vine and swung it, distracting the creature just long enough for Nara to move again. Together they fought strategically. Nara's skill and Kai's cleverness created a combination that the creature could not predict. Finally, after a tense struggle, the Guardian moved back into the shadows, leaving them unharmed. Nara looked at Kai, breathing heavily. "You are more than I imagined," she said, her voice filled with awe. "Your kind is full of surprises," Kai smiled. "You are not so bad yourself. I have never seen a Huntress move like that." For a moment, silence fell between them. The jungle continued its quiet hum, but the danger had passed for now. Nara felt a strange connection with the human. She had trusted him, and together they had survived. That trust was new, exciting, and powerful. As night fell fully, they found a small clearing to rest. Nara made a simple shelter with leaves and branches, her hands skilled and quick despite the earlier poison. Kai helped, gathering materials and keeping watch. They spoke little, but each understood the other. Nara realized that humans were not only brave, but they were also loyal. Kai's presence was comforting, a reminder that even in the most dangerous places someone could be counted on. She felt respect growing within her, respect mixed with curiosity. Kai glanced at her. "You will recover fully," he said. "The poison is gone and your strength will return." Nara nodded. "Thanks to you. I owe you more than my life now." Kai smiled gently. "Then we owe each other. We are a team." The night passed quietly. Stars shone through the gaps in the canopy, and the jungle seemed calmer under their watch. Nara thought about the events of the day. The venom, the predators, the jungle itself. Everything had tested her. Yet she survived, and not alone. Humans, she realized, could be powerful allies, not just in courage but in ways she had never imagined. When morning came, the first light of the twin suns touched the jungle floor. Nara stretched, feeling the strength return to her limbs. She looked at Kai, ready to continue their journey. Together, they would face whatever the jungle threw at them next, and Nara knew without doubt that humans were more than she had ever believed. The first light of Zoriah 7's twin sun spread across the jungle, painting the thick leaves in shades of gold and green. Nara stretched her limbs, feeling the strength return after the ordeal with the poison. Her muscles were still sore, but her body was ready again. She felt the familiar energy of the jungle, alive and restless, and she could sense every movement of creatures around her. Kai was already awake, checking their surroundings. He moved quietly, his eyes scanning the jungle for danger. Nara noticed his alertness and smiled faintly. Humans were small compared to her kind, but they had a way of noticing details that others overlooked. His courage was one thing, but his intelligence and awareness were equally impressive. "We should move," Nara said, her voice steady. "The jungle will not wait for us to rest." Kai nodded. "I agree. The faster we move, the safer we are." Together they left the small clearing and entered deeper into the jungle. The ground was soft with moss and the air was thick with mist. Strange plants glowed faintly, lighting their path with soft colors. Nara moved silently, her tail brushing lightly against the forest floor. Every sound, every vibration in the soil, every movement in the shadows told her something about the life around them. Kai followed her carefully. He had learned quickly from the events of the previous day. Humans might not have the same physical strength as Nara's species, but they could adapt. His movements were cautious but confident. He scanned the trees, listening to sounds, noticing patterns, and making decisions based on what he saw. After some time, they reached a river that cut through the jungle. Its water was clear but fast-moving. Strange fish swam below the surface, their scales reflecting the sunlight in rainbow colors. Nara paused, studying the water. "This river is home to many predators," she said. "Some are small, some are very dangerous. We must be careful." Kai knelt and dipped his hand into the water. "It looks peaceful, but I trust your instincts," he said. "Lead the way," Nara nodded. She moved to the edge and tested the ground. The mud was soft and the riverbank was slippery. She stepped carefully and Kai followed, mirroring her movements. Together they crossed the river, avoiding areas where the mud would trap their feet or the current could sweep them away. Once across, Nara paused again. She smelled something unusual in the air, a faint scent almost metallic mixed with the natural smells of the jungle. Her eyes narrowed. "Something is coming," she said. "Not an animal, not one I recognize. We must be ready." Kai stood beside her, alert. "What is it?" "I do not know yet," Nara admitted. "But we will find out soon." The sound came before the figure appeared. A soft humming, like the vibration of metal against metal, grew louder as they watched. Through the trees, a large mechanical creature emerged. Its legs moved like pistons and its body glinted under the sunlight. It was unlike anything Nara had faced before. Not a predator, not a forest guardian, but something made by intelligent hands. Nara's instincts told her to attack, but she paused. This was not natural. It was controlled, designed to hunt with precision. She turned to Kai. "Stay close. Follow my lead." The mechanical creature scanned the area with glowing eyes. Its sensors detected movement and it emitted a low hum. Nara could see the calculations in its movements, the way it adjusted its steps to the terrain. It was fast, intelligent, and deadly. Nara made the first move. She darted forward, trying to draw its attention away from Kai. The machine reacted instantly, its legs moving with surprising speed. Nara dodged, rolled, and struck its leg with precision. Sparks flew, but it did not stop. Kai stayed behind her, observing. He knew he could not fight it alone, but he could help. He picked up a heavy branch from the ground and swung it at the creature's side. It hit the metal armor with a loud clang, and the machine paused for a fraction of a second. That was enough for Nara to attack again. They worked together seamlessly. Nara's speed and precision complemented Kai's clever thinking and resourcefulness. He used the environment to his advantage, pushing rocks, swinging branches, and creating distractions. Nara struck with agility and accuracy. The machine moved quickly, but the human and Huntress were faster. After a tense struggle, the creature stumbled, its sensors flickering. Nara struck one final blow, and it collapsed to the ground, sparking and silent. Nara looked at Kai, breathing heavily. "You are remarkable," she said. "You are not just brave, but smart. You can think in ways I never expected." Kai smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. "We make a good team," he said. For the first time, Nara felt something she had rarely experienced. Trust. She trusted the human to stand by her, to fight alongside her, and to survive with her. That trust was powerful. It was more than strength or skill. It was a bond. After the encounter, they continued through the jungle. Nara's body was strong again, and Kai's confidence had grown. They moved carefully but with purpose. The jungle was vast and full of hidden dangers, but together, they could face it. They reached a cliff overlooking a valley. The view was breathtaking. Rivers twisted like silver ribbons. Forests stretched endlessly and mountains rose in the distance. Nara paused, taking in the sight. "The jungle is alive," she said softly. "It is beautiful, but it is also dangerous. We must remember both." Kai nodded. "It is amazing. I have never seen anything like it." Nara studied him for a moment. Humans were small and fragile compared to her kind, but they had a way of seeing the world differently. Their curiosity, their courage, and their determination made them more than they seemed. Kai was proof of that. They set up a temporary camp near the cliff. Nara gathered materials for shelter while Kai collected water and food from nearby plants. The day passed with quiet conversation. Nara learned about humans from Kai, and he learned about her species. Despite the differences, they found common ground. As night fell, the jungle came alive with sounds. Strange calls echoed from the forests below. Nara kept watch, her senses sharp. Kai sat beside her, calm but alert. Nara realized that humans could be patient and observant, qualities that her kind sometimes overlooked in favor of speed and strength. "You are different from what I expected," Nara said quietly. "I thought humans were weak and fragile." "I was wrong," Kai smiled. "We may be small, but we survive in ways others do not expect. Sometimes courage is more important than strength." Nara considered his words. Her species valued skill, speed, and power, but she realized now that courage and cleverness were just as powerful. Humans could survive in ways her kind had never imagined. The night passed quietly. Stars sparkled in the sky above, and the twin moons of Zariah 7 cast silver light on the jungle. Nara and Kai rested, knowing that the jungle would always bring new challenges. They had faced predators, poison, and mechanical threats. Each challenge had tested them, but they had survived together. When dawn arrived, the first rays of sunlight touched the forest. Nara rose, feeling stronger than ever. She looked at Kai, ready to continue their journey. Together they would face whatever the jungle had to offer. The bond between Huntress and human had grown stronger. Trust, courage, and teamwork had brought them this far. Nara knew that this was only the beginning. The jungle was vast, full of unknown dangers and secrets. But with Kai by her side, she felt ready. Humans were more than she had imagined. They were brave, clever, and determined, and Nara realized that this journey would teach her more than she had ever expected about life, survival, and the strength of a species she had underestimated. As they moved forward into the jungle, Nara could feel the energy of Zoriah 7 surrounding them. Every step, every sound, every movement was part of the living world. She felt alive, alert, and ready, and she knew that together, she and the human could face anything the universe sent their way. The jungle of Zoriah 7 seemed endless. Nara and Kai had been moving for hours, navigating twisting vines, slippery rocks, and dense vegetation. Nara's muscles were strong again, and her senses were alert. Every sound, every movement, every shadow held meaning. She was a huntress, trained to notice the smallest changes in the environment. But now she noticed Kai, too. He had changed. His courage had grown, and he was learning quickly how to survive in this wild world. "You move well," Nara said quietly as they crossed a narrow ridge above a river. "Humans are not built for this terrain, yet you manage it," Kai smiled. "I follow your lead. You know this place far better than I do." Nara considered his words. Humans often relied on others for guidance, but they had a surprising ability to adapt and learn. That adaptability was part of what made them unpredictable. Nara had underestimated humans before, but she was learning. This human beside her was different. Brave, quick-thinking, and determined, he was more capable than she had expected. The jungle was quiet for a moment, a strange calm settling over the trees and vines. Then Nara noticed something unusual. The air was thicker here, and a faint humming filled the silence. She slowed her steps, ears attuned to the slightest sound. "Something is near," she whispered. Kai stopped beside her. "What is it?" "I am not sure," Nara admitted. "But it is not an animal. It feels controlled, artificial. Watch carefully." From the shadows ahead, a small group of robotic drones appeared. They hovered silently, their metal bodies reflecting light in strange patterns. Nara's instincts told her they were hostile. She crouched, ready to strike if necessary. Kai stayed close, observing. "Robots, are they dangerous?" "They can be," Nara said. "Some are programmed to hunt, to kill. Others are just observers. We will find out soon." The drones moved closer, scanning the area. Their glowing eyes flickered as if analyzing every detail of the jungle. Nara readied herself for action, but she did not move first. She wanted to understand them, to find a way to deal with them without unnecessary risk. Kai watched her closely. "What do we do?" "We wait," Nara said. "Observe. Then act." The drones hovered near a clearing, where a strange device emitted a faint light. Nara approached carefully, keeping low to the ground. She noticed a pattern in the drones' movements, a rhythm that suggested they were guarding something important. Kai followed, imitating her careful steps. "What is that device?" he whispered. "I do not know," Nara admitted. "But it is powerful. We must be careful. One wrong move could trigger a trap or summon more of these machines." Nara studied the device, looking for weaknesses. She noticed a small panel on the side, covered with glowing symbols. With a swift movement, she reached for it. Kai watched her, ready to react if anything went wrong. The moment her fingers touched the panel, the drones turned toward them. Their glowing eyes focused, and a low hum filled the air. Nara stepped back, her muscles tense, ready to fight. Kai acted instinctively. He grabbed a fallen branch and swung it at one of the drones. The impact sent sparks flying, and the machine wobbled. Nara used the distraction to move closer to the device, analyzing its symbols. "This is a control panel," she whispered. "If I can deactivate it, the drones will stop." Kai nodded. "Do it. I will cover you." Nara worked quickly, pressing symbols and tracing patterns. Sparks flew from the drones as they attacked, but Kai managed to keep them distracted. Sweat dripped from his brow, but he remained focused. Nara's fingers moved with precision, and finally the device powered down. The humming stopped, and the drones collapsed to the ground, harmless. Nara exhaled, her body relaxing slightly. "We did it," she said, turning to Kai. Kai smiled, wiping his hands. "That was incredible. You saved both of us." Nara shook her head. "We saved each other. You were brave, quick, and smart. Without you, I might not have been able to do it." Kai looked surprised. "You really think so?" "I do," Nara said firmly. Humans are capable of far more than I realized. You have courage, determination, and quick thinking. Those qualities make a difference in ways that brute strength alone cannot. Kai felt a warmth in his chest. Nara's words were honest, sincere, and full of respect. He had never expected a huntress like her to recognize his abilities, yet she did. It made him realize that humans could be seen differently, not just as fragile beings, but as strong allies. They moved away from the clearing, deeper into the jungle. Nara's senses were still alert. The device they had deactivated might have been only part of a larger system. She knew that dangers would not end here. Hours passed as they walked, navigating through thick vines and underbrush. Strange creatures called from the shadows, and faint movements hinted at predators watching them from a distance. Nara felt the energy of the jungle around them, alive and powerful, and Kai seemed to sense it too. "You are learning quickly," Nara said. "Humans often struggle in this environment, but you adapt fast." Kai nodded. "I have a good teacher." Nara smiled faintly. That simple statement carried more meaning than words could express. She had trained many apprentices, but few had shown the combination of courage, intelligence, and adaptability that Kai possessed. As the sun began to set, they found a small plateau overlooking the jungle below. The view was breathtaking, with rivers twisting like silver ribbons and forests stretching endlessly. Nara sat down, taking a deep breath. Her muscles were tired but ready for more. Kai sat beside her, gazing at the view. "It is beautiful," he said. "I have never seen anything like this." "It is alive," Nara said quietly. "The jungle is not just plants and animals. It has energy, life, and intelligence. It tests you, challenges you, and teaches you. Those who survive here are stronger because of it." Kai listened carefully. "I understand. The jungle is more than it seems, and surviving it makes us stronger." Nara nodded. "Exactly. And you have survived well, human. You have shown bravery, intelligence, and patience. Those qualities are rare." The two sat in silence for a moment, watching the light fade from the sky. Stars began to appear, twinkling above the jungle canopy. Nara felt a strange calm. For the first time, she was not alone in this dangerous world. She had an ally, a human who had proven himself capable of facing any challenge. Suddenly, Nara's senses tensed again. A faint sound reached her ears, almost like footsteps, but not quite. She rose slowly, moving to the edge of the plateau. Kai followed, alert. From the shadows, a group of alien hunters emerged. They were smaller than Nara, but their weapons were advanced. Their eyes glowed faintly, and they moved with stealth and precision. Nara recognized them immediately. These were rivals, hunters who sought to claim territory or capture valuable creatures. Kai's eyes widened. "What do we do?" he whispered. "We fight if we must," Nara said. "But we must be smart. We cannot underestimate them. Follow my lead." The hunters circled, trying to surround them. Nara moved quickly, striking with precision. Kai stayed close, using his environment to create distractions and protect himself. Together, they moved like a single unit. Their movements coordinated despite their differences. The battle was tense but brief. Nara's skill combined with Kai's clever thinking allowed them to outmaneuver the hunters. They retreated into the jungle, leaving Nara and Kai victorious. Nara looked at Kai, breathing heavily. "You are more than I imagined," she said. "You are brave, clever, and strong in ways I did not expect." Kai smiled, exhausted but proud. "We make a good team. I have learned a lot from you." Nara nodded. "And I have learned something too. Humans are not weak. They are capable, brave, and unpredictable. That is their strength." As night fell fully, they found a small cave to rest. Nara gathered leaves and branches to make a simple bed while Kai kept watch. The jungle continued its quiet hum, but they felt safe, at least for now. Nara realized that the human beside her was not just a companion, but a true ally. They had faced poison, predators, and rival hunters together. Their trust had grown and their bond had strengthened. When they finally rested, Nara thought about the journey ahead. The jungle of Zoraya 7 was vast and dangerous, but she knew that with Kai by her side, they could survive anything. Humans, she realized, were more than she had ever imagined. Their courage, intelligence, and determination made them formidable allies. And Nara understood something else. The universe was full of surprises, and sometimes strength came from the most unexpected places. The morning sun rose over the jungle of Zoraya 7, casting golden light through the thick canopy. Mist lingered in the valleys below, and the calls of unseen creatures echoed in the distance. Nara stretched, feeling her body fully restored from the poison that had threatened her life days before. She looked at Kai, who was already awake and scanning the forest ahead. "You move well in this jungle now," Nara said, her voice calm, but filled with admiration. Kai smiled. "I've learned from the best," he replied. Nara nodded. She had faced countless dangers across the galaxy, but the last few days had been unlike any she had ever experienced. Poison, predators, robotic machines, rival hunters. The jungle had tested her in every way. Yet she had survived, not alone, but with Kai beside her. The human had proven his courage, intelligence, and adaptability in ways she had never expected. Nara had underestimated humans before, but now she saw them differently. They were capable, strong in spirit, and brave in ways her species rarely recognized. The jungle ahead was dense, and Nara's senses were alert. She could feel movement in the undergrowth, subtle vibrations in the soil, and the faint sound of wings beating in the trees. Something was near, and it was not a small creature. "Do you sense that?" Nara asked, her green eyes narrowing. Kai nodded. "Yes, something is coming." From the shadows, a massive creature emerged. Its body was covered in thick armor, and its eyes glowed a bright red. It was unlike any predator Nara had faced before. This was a guardian of the jungle, a creature designed by nature itself to protect its territory. Its roar shook the leaves and made the ground tremble beneath their feet. Nara took a deep breath, her claws digging into the soil. "Stay close to me," she said to Kai. "We will face this together." Kai nodded, gripping a long branch as a makeshift weapon. He had no experience fighting creatures of this size, but his courage was unshakable. Nara could see it in his eyes. He was ready. The guardian lunged at them with terrifying speed. Nara dodged effortlessly, rolling to the side and striking its leg with precise force. The creature stumbled but did not fall. It roared again, charging forward with relentless power. Kai acted quickly. He swung the branch at the creature's side, distracting it just long enough for Nara to strike again. Sparks of energy and small flashes of light illuminated the jungle as Nara attacked with skill, and Kai supported her. Together, they moved in perfect coordination. Nara's speed and strength complemented Kai's clever thinking and resourcefulness. Each attack was calculated, each movement precise. The creature was powerful, but it could not predict their teamwork. The battle was intense. The Guardian's armor made it nearly invulnerable, and its strength was overwhelming. Nara and Kai dodged, struck, and strategized with every heartbeat. Sweat dripped from their bodies, muscles burned, and their breathing was heavy, but neither wavered. Finally, after what felt like hours but was only moments, Nara saw an opening. The creature's side had a small gap between its armor plates. With a swift leap, she struck the gap with her claws. Sparks flew, and the Guardian roared in pain. Kai seized the moment. He leaped onto a rock and swung his branch with all his strength, hitting the same gap. The creature stumbled, lost its balance, and fell to the ground with a heavy crash. Both Nara and Kai breathed heavily, their hearts racing. The Guardian lay still, no longer a threat. Nara turned to Kai, her eyes filled with admiration. "You are incredible," she said. "I have never seen anyone fight like you. You are brave, clever, and strong in ways I cannot describe." Kai smiled, exhausted but proud. "We make a good team," he said simply. Nara nodded. She had learned something important over the past few days. Strength was not only about speed, claws, or weapons. It was courage, intelligence, adaptability, and trust. Humans possessed these qualities in abundance, and Kai had proven it. As they caught their breath, the jungle seemed to calm around them. The sounds of distant creatures returned, and the wind rustled the leaves gently. Nara and Kai took a moment to rest, sitting on a fallen log and looking at the dense forest below. "You saved me once before," Nara said quietly, her voice soft. "And now you help me face this Guardian. I owe you more than I can say." Kai shook his head. "You don't owe me anything. We protect each other. That is what matters. Strength is not just about surviving alone. It is about standing together." Nara considered his words. She had always relied on her own abilities, her training, and her instincts. But now she understood that true strength could also come from trust and teamwork. Kai had shown her that humans were capable of far more than her species had ever believed. The sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange, pink, and purple. Nara and Kai decided to make camp for the night. They found a small clearing near a stream and began preparing a simple shelter. Nara gathered large leaves and branches while Kai built a small fire. The jungle was alive with sounds, but for the first time, Nara felt a sense of peace. As they sat by the fire, Kai spoke. "Do you think humans can really survive in a place like this?" Nara looked at him, her green eyes reflecting the firelight. "Humans are stronger than you know. You survive in ways my species cannot imagine. You have courage, intelligence, and determination. Those qualities make you formidable." Kai smiled, feeling proud. "Then I am glad to have you as my teacher." Nara laughed softly. "And I am glad to have you as my companion. Together we are stronger than we are apart." The night passed quietly. Stars twinkled above the jungle, and the twin moons of Zoriah 7 cast silver light over the trees. Nara and Kai rested, knowing that the jungle would always present new challenges. But they also knew that together, they could face anything. Morning came, and the first rays of sunlight warmed the forest. Nara rose, feeling fully restored and alert. Kai was already awake, keeping watch over the jungle. They packed their simple camp and prepared to continue their journey. Nara looked at Kai. "The jungle is vast, and dangers are everywhere, but I'm not afraid anymore. Not with you by my side," Kai nodded. "And I am ready. We face it together." They moved forward deeper into the jungle. Nara's senses guided them, and Kai followed her lead, ready to adapt and act. The bond between them had grown stronger over the past days. Trust, courage, and teamwork had forged a connection that could not be broken easily. As they walked, Nara thought about the challenges they had faced: the venomous predator, the rival hunters, the robotic drones, and the guardian of the jungle. Each challenge had tested them, but they had survived together. Each challenge had strengthened their bond and taught them something new about courage and determination. Kai walked beside her, his eyes scanning the jungle. "What lies ahead?" he asked. Nara smiled. "The jungle is full of mysteries. More predators, unknown creatures, and challenges we cannot predict. But that is the way of life here. Every step is a test, and every challenge makes us stronger." Kai nodded, understanding. "Then let's face it. Together." Nara and Kai moved forward, ready for whatever the jungle had in store. The sun rose higher, casting light on the thick foliage and illuminating their path. The jungle was alive, full of energy and hidden dangers, but they were ready. Nara glanced at the human beside her and realized something important. Humans were not weak. They were brave, clever, adaptable, and determined. They had a strength that could not always be measured by physical power alone. Kai had proven that in every moment since their first meeting. The jungle stretched endlessly before them, a living world of challenges, beauty, and danger. Nara felt excitement and anticipation. The journey ahead would test them, but together they could survive anything. As they disappeared into the thick foliage, Nara knew that this was only the beginning. The bond between Huntress and human had grown unbreakable. They would face the dangers of Zoriah 7 together, and nothing could stand in their way. The jungle whispered around them, alive with sound, movement, and energy. But Nara and Kai walked with confidence, courage, and trust. They were a team, stronger together than apart. And the universe, with all its dangers and mysteries, had yet to see what they were capable of. The alien Huntress had survived poison. She had faced predators, machines, and rival hunters. But most importantly, she had discovered the strength of a human. That strength, combined with her own skill, would change the course of their journey. Together they vanished into the jungle, ready for whatever challenges awaited. The adventure was far from over, and the story of their survival, courage, and unexpected friendship had only just begun.